we're going to get into just the longest list that you could ever find, and that is the list of Sacramento Kings who can, I guess, play the shooting guard position, because it really does feel like it is all of them, with the exception of, and you can probably put Keegan Murray into that category as well, honestly. It's probably, that will be the true sign of when we are on the other side of the mountain here, when we actually have enough forward depth to where we can have conversations of, can we put Keegan Murray at the 2? And is that a thing? It definitely should be. I digress. Let's get into the people who are actually going to be playing shooting guard this season for the Kings. Starting off with one Zach LaVine, who will be more than likely the guy who's getting, yes, thank you, Kyle. Can't wait. I wonder how long it took people to kind of put the Veen and the Fiend together at the arena. They play this.
I really like it. I know. Yeah, I'm like,
after Zach LaVine scores, dunk, 3, anything, just
Scott Moak, Zach LaVine.
Okay.
Come on.
It's pretty good.
I think that's a great marketing strategy there.
It's really, really good. Yeah, Kayla, we have to get you out to a Kings game. There's truly nothing like it, like the Keegan Murray. I'm sure you're familiar with the Keegan Murray. Like,
right, and of course, the beam.
Like, the beam. I mean,
like the beam.
It's probably better than you would even think. Like, it seems like it'd be
not to overhype it, but
no, I heard it's incredible,
really
you guys.
I mean, I think you can overhype it because it's just a laser. I mean, it's a laser. It doesn't sound extraordinary at all, and you just can't really explain how excited you are to see that stupid laser go into the sky, and how cool it is to go home, drive home, still see it in the like. It's just, I mean, I'm not the first person to say it, but they knocked it out the park. Like,
Can I ask
the coolest thing on the planet.
One journalistic question, because you know this is my background, guys, and I'm new here, so I'm going to ask some questions and learn more about the Kings specifically. But where did the light the beam come from?
I think we've officially tracked it down to a story of Vivek Ranadive, the Kings owner, and John Reinhart, who's the Kings president. Essentially just kind of came up with it. I think there was the LA Angels had a similar kind of spirit of post game, obviously the Cubs, fly the W and all that kind of stuff. I don't know where the laser specifically came from, but
there's the laser part. There's a company that does it.
There's a Sacramento-based, Folsom-based company or something like that.
The people who do it for like Cirque du Soleil in Vegas and stuff, the people who make those lasers are based out of. Again, it might be Folsom, it might be further east or something.
Semi-local.
But
That's great.
So, anyways, they reached out to them. And then originally it was one, and then not to give away state secrets, it's like 3 or 4 beams now combined to look like
that
one.
Thing up. That thing is, it's
so now you can see it like miles and miles. Like before it was like, I used to live over in Arden. It was like, oh, you can kind of see it. And now it's like, you can be out in Roseville and have a chance to see it.
Yeah. It's going to be like the Luxor when it's all said and done. You can see it from space.
It really is. Like, I mean, I've stayed at the Excalibur, which is right next to the Luxor. It is the same exact beam. Like, I mean, their beam is white, ours is purple, but it is the same exact kind of like strength, all of it. It's just the Luxor one doesn't have the magic, the magic.
No, it does not. And the Luxor is probably going to get torn down eventually.
Exactly. So it is definitely on its way. Let me tell you again. I stay. Both of those can go sometime soon. But yeah, absolutely.
Thanks for the explanation, though, guys.
Absolutely. So we definitely. I thought you were going to ask, and I should do my the service of letting you know that in the past, some people, we will not throw out names, Alan Stiles has gotten in trouble for questioning if the beam is here to stay or if the beam is a shtick or just like of that ilk,
I think that's also the important context. So the beam, when they first did it, no one knew what it was.
Yeah, they just did it.
Got it.
But then like they started that year like 2-5, and then they won like 8 games in a row.
Right.
And when that happened, that's when they all started calling themselves the Beam Team.
Yep.
And so I think it stuck.
Kevin Huerter specifically.
Yes. Kevin Huerter.
He coined the term Beam Team.
Yeah.
In a comment. Yeah.
De'Aaron Fox was tweeting like the beam and stuff like that. But anyways, the point is, I don't know if it would have stuck if not for the first year of doing it being the year they broke the playoff drought.
Yes.
Okay.
And now it feels like every year the question at least becomes more legitimate. Whether or not the conversation will actually be had or not, I do start to feel like it is a legitimate conversation if we're just going to continue to do this.
And you're hearing about it nationally, guys, because we talked about it on a radio show in Nashville. Like, we talked about the beat.
Really?
And so it's something that people are talking about. It's not just the local thing. Like, people know about this.
Yeah, I mean, it's great. I mean, we need a thing first and foremost. Like, the Kings need some sort of like thing that isn't losing to be their thing.
It's gonna be there forever now. That's kind of my takeaway. Yeah,
100%. I mean, the trademarks are in. Like, they're 100% locked in.
It's our version of Fly the W or Light the A or whatever else. That's
Light the A. That's what it was.
I don't remember if it was Reinhardt. Someone worked for the Ducks in Anaheim.
I know it was Reinhardt that had the idea.
Yeah.
I'm not sure if
someone in the organization worked for the Ducks, and it was like, what if we could do something like that for Sacramento was the original idea.
Yeah. No, and it's been great. I mean, it truly is it's great. It hits every time. It really does. And those playoff memes, there's nothing like
all three of them.
All three of those things lit up the sky like you wouldn't believe it. But yes, Zach LaVine, if you will.
That one didn't stick.
That one did not stick.
They tried it.
They did. It was not good. He speaking of just not good, I would say the fit last year was just clunky. It didn't work, which was natural because that was a patchwork team. It was a De'Aaron Fox. The Spurs aren't going to give us any of their young, exciting players. They're not going to give us Stephon Castle. They're not going to give us even Jeremy Sohan. We can't get, and so we have to get something to be able to say we got a good piece for De'Aaron Fox. That ends up being Zach LaVine. And he's a weird one. I really don't know what to do with Zach LaVine's game because some games you watch him and when he's on, I mean, I don't know if, like, it's crazy to say, but I don't know if there's many better scorers in the NBA. If we're just talking about a guy who can put the ball in the hoop at a just ridiculously efficient rate. He'll have games where he's 13 of 16 and he's 8 of 9 from 3. And it's just like, how is this guy not missing? But then other games, that's not there. And, obviously you're not going to be able to light the world on fire every single night. But the impact, I think, is the word with Zach LaVine that I just didn't feel. And it was strange because DeMar DeRozan, who is another guy you can throw into the list of guys who are probably going to steal some minutes at shooting guard, for better or worse, you would feel DeMar DeRozan. When DeMar's on, when he's cooking, when he's, playing in his half court, he's backing a guy down, he's getting to his turnaround game, all that stuff. Maybe it's because he has the ball in his hands for so long in those possessions, but you feel it. You understand DeMar DeRozan is going to win or lose you this game based off of his play right now. And again, that you would feel that in the bad too, when he's missing those shots, when he's, forcing it, when he's just not, when the offense isn't running well through him, you feel it. You wouldn't feel that with Zach LaVine, even in the good, even when he was on fire. Sometimes you wouldn't feel the gravity of he is just taking over this game. It felt like he was making shots, and maybe that's more of a basketball thing where it's just you can't really quantify. Like, again, he's putting up numbers and all of this, but the impact on winning, which is always the conversation, especially when it comes to these empty calorie kind of guys, is you Trae Young, you can put up all the points you want, but if your team's an 8 seed and you're not playing any defense, which I think plays a lot into the Zach LaVine conversation, with how much you're being paid, your impact isn't matching what you're being paid. And I think that's the real conundrum with a guy like Zach LaVine. Isn't his talent, if you look at the dollar figure and you look at what he's able to do on the basketball floor, it matches up. But for some reason, when Zach LaVine is making, what is it, Kyle, 30, 40, $50 million a year that Zach LaVine's making?
48
nowadays?
This year.
$48 million. That is hunkering. That is 35% of your salary that one guy is holding down.
While not being an all-star.
An all-star. Like, you're not going to be able to win with that unless you're getting such crazy value out of the other guys that are probably young, are probably rookies, or maybe you're just, previously a guy like Malik Monk, who was on a good contract because you kind of found him in free agency. Now Malik is a little bit more of the industry pays standard pay. He's $17 million a year, and you see the Kings trying to move off of him. Maybe that's because he's no longer a plus asset. He's more of just a neutral asset. And so, long way of saying it feels like Zach LaVine, the player, good player, if not even a great offensive player, but when you're paying him what he is paid, which isn't fair to him, because, I mean, he did negotiate that contract, but it's not his fault that the Bulls paid him that money. It's not his fault that the Kings were willing to take on his contract. But when you're eating up that big of a percentage of the salary, it's really, really, really tough to build a winning team around it unless you build it perfectly. And we know the Kings haven't built this thing perfectly, but we'll just see how well they built around him. And I haven't really been able to flush it out all this way, but it is kind of crazy how much I think Zach LaVine is going to affect the other pieces around. Like, Zach LaVine is almost everything has to work around him now, in the sense of if you want the puzzle to come together, it's all got to be in service of working either around his holes or helping him be great or be more consistent on the offensive end. Because you look at the Kings roster, Zach LaVine has to be their star. Kyle mentions Zach LaVine, all this production, not an all-star. The Kings have to figure out, much like we talk about with Ashton Genty, how do we service this guy?
How do we make him his best?
Make him his best. How do you make him the all-star?
Let me intervene
Please.
with this question. Did you see what I did there?
Absolutely.
Sorry, that was probably really bad.
Great.
Kyle, you can hit me with the sound.
That sound, sure. There you go.
I'll take that too.
Intervene, I see. Yeah.
Intervene, yeah. So with this being like in terms of the guards, like shoot first guards, right?
Yes.
We've talked about this. There's a lot of them on the team.
Yeah, almost exclusively.
Yeah, it's like, where's the balance here? But with him in particular, it's almost like what I'm hearing, and as I'm learning the Kings being here in Sacramento, and I'm really enjoying the process of it.
Yeah.
Like, I'm
lot.
excited to learn about this season. But it's almost like he might have fit somewhere else a little better, but there's still a chance that you can help him be his best player. But it's like, is it the right fit?
100%. Yes, definitely. Like, I think there's a world where, like, the Denver Nuggets are a team that was rumored to, they end up trading Michael Porter Jr. for Cam Johnson. There was a world where they traded Michael Porter Jr. for Zach LaVine. And that's better for Zach LaVine because he can be a score. Go ahead.
Yeah, go on.
Nikola Jokic is going to have the ball. Every decision is going to be made by Nikola Jokic. We just need, when you touch the ball, that thing go up and it go through. And Zach LaVine, as I said, like, he has a real, true elite talent at being that.
Yeah.
But to your point, you have to find the right situation. And I mentioned Nikola Jokic. I'll do the thing of, like, I mean, the closest you're going to get in this league to what Nikola Jokic brings, it is a far distance between what he does and what Domantas Sabonis does, but Sabonis is as close as you're going to get to that style of play. It's not going to be at the same level, but that's where, if Domantas Sabonis, and we've seen him before, he can be a team's, I called him the North Star of the Beam team. You know, they ran so much dribble handoffs where they would set Sabonis just right at the top of the free throw line, right at the top of the key, at the nail. They would give him the ball, and everybody just runs around him and either passes it, gives it in front, sets a screen. Everything just went completely around him.
Yeah.
I don't think they're going to run that style of offense anymore. But if they can get some form of just movement, just getting those guys open in space, getting quick decisions, not having the offense boggle down, because with as many offensive weapons as they have too, again, Dennis Schroeder, Zach LaVine, DeMar DeRozan, Keegan Murray, like, all those guys need touches, need shots, need the ball. They can't run the half-court DeMar DeRozan, back it down for 15 seconds and try and get a shot off in the last 8. Like, that's not going to work for these guys. And so if they can find a way to kind of level out the touches, level out the time of possession, I guess, if you could call it that, between the players, I think that would be a more conducive situation for Zach LaVine. But I think at the end of the day, Zach is most comfortable scoring the ball. And if you can figure out how he can do that and not really have to worry about him on the defensive end, that's where I think he can be successful. And that's maybe where some of these other guys come in, more specifically Keon Ellis. We know, you mentioned the shoot-first shooting guards that the Kings have. We know Zach LaVine, shoot first. Malik Monk, shoot first. DeMar DeRozan, shoot first. Keon Ellis is the one guy where you come in he's the defensive stopper. We know that Keon comes in. That is what he's coming in to do. He can still shoot the ball. And let's not forget Keon Ellis. I don't remember what his final number was, but he finished top 5 in three-point percentage last season while being an elite defender on the other side of the ball. He's the one guy who can maybe enter the starting lineup that I think you might be surprised by, especially if a Kuminga situation ends up happening here in Sacramento. That's where I could definitely see Keon Ellis getting that starter role that I think a lot of Kings fans really, really want for him. This is going to be I have no idea what to expect for Keon this season with his contract situation up in the air. So he's
unrestricted free agent in 2026.
I believe so. Kyle, please correct me if I'm wrong. So Keon's contract situation now, because they could have signed him to an extension this offseason, didn't, and so now they're going into this year. As Kayla mentioned, he will be an unrestricted free agent going into this offseason.
Yes.
So there is no form of obviously not a restricted free agent, so they have no rights to his bird rights. Well, I guess they would still have his bird rights.
They would still have his bird rights, but that doesn't matter.
Qualifying offer, thank you.
Yes. And mid-level exception, all that stuff. But it won't really matter because we're not talking about like a 4 or 5 year. I mean, maybe we are, but if it gets to like a 4-year deal, then bird rights would come into play. But I would imagine he's going to hit free agency, probably going to get a 2 or 3 year deal from someone. That would be my guess. Yeah. And probably in the $15 to $20 million range, and barring injury this year.
And that leads me to believe that I don't want it to happen. I think Keon Ellis can be an answer at shooting guard long term, even as a starter for this team. But Kyle, to me, it feels like Keon Ellis is prime trade candidate for me for this team, because we know he has value across the league. Any team could fit in Keon Ellis, who again can shoot threes, can play defense, two-way player.
Yeah.
Exactly. Everybody's looking for a 3-and-D guy. Keon Ellis is a 3-and-D guy. If the Kings don't have any sort of, I don't know what their money situation is going into this offseason in terms of how easily it would be to retain him. But if he's going to enter the open market, to me, knowing the Kings' history, you don't keep those guys a lot of the time, especially when you had an opportunity
but do they need
to potentially do right by him.
So this is the interesting conversation. It is, what direction do they want to go?
Yes.
Look, I hate comparing the Kings to the Chicago Bulls, but hey, they seem to be doing it a lot. Last year, the Bulls made the call with a year left on his contract to trade Alex Caruso to the Thunder for Josh Giddey.
Yes.
Giddey, not as good of a player right now as Caruso, but they signed him to a long-term. You have him for 5 years of team control, potential for growth, stuff like that. If the Kings, again, we're talking about a lesser version of that, but the Kings could make the same call with Keon Ellis. It's like, hey, we get to the trade deadline. It seems like he's going to hit unrestricted free agency. Teams are going to have cap space. Maybe we just make the trade now and get, not saying Josh Giddey, but you get some version of a lottery pick that hasn't had runway with another team. It won't be as good as Josh Giddey because Keon's not as good as Caruso, but that's kind of the idea, is like, do you cash in now to get younger? And that's all based on the direction Scott Perry wants to take the team.
And he's, what, a third-year player in the league?
Yes, I want to say in terms of, well,
this will be Keon. This will be Keon's fourth year,
but spiritually, like if it feels like it's his third year of like playing like real legitimate rotational minutes.
Yeah. So he's 25. He'll turn 26 in January, if that helps.
In the development of him specifically, guys, how has that been since arriving here?
I mean, he's really been the shining example in terms of Kings development, especially like deep develop. Like, it's one thing to, develop a top 10 pick in Keegan, or top 5 pick, top 10 pick in Keegan Murray. That's really pretty normal.
The only example of a Stockton King who is now a rotation player, started in the G League, last guy on the bench, 2-way contract. Really, the only example the Kings have in the last 7 years of that guy.
Yeah, like a true G League success too. Like, he's legitimate. It's not just he would play for the Kings thing. Like, he would play for, I would say, any team in the NBA would give him legitimate rotational minutes. Like, not everyone would start him, but everyone would at least give him minutes. But yeah, he's like the true Kings sign of develop, like that the G League, they're hoping Isaac Jones can kind of go through a similar thing. They're hoping, I mean, in a weird way, yeah, you can say that the success of Keon Ellis has now, maybe it's fool's gold, who knows, but they kind of are thinking of the G League system like a true feeder system.
That's the kind of guy I want to keep. I'm going to tell you this right now, and 100%. I know I'm new here in Sacramento, but I want to say, like, that's kind of what, in terms of when you see a team like Oklahoma City, and you build up your guys, and
from coach on up,
exactly. And so you see a guy like this who came from the G League, and he's a two-way player. You can see what he has on the defensive side, but he also can be a shooter. It's like, those are the guys I want to maybe keep right now. But I get it. You're in a spot that you have all these, guards that are shoot first. Yeah. Well, and it is hard to do that.
It's very.
And the other weird thing is that they drafted Devin Carter in 2024, who plays basically the same position as Keon Ellis. And they just drafted Nick Clifford with the 24th pick in this year's draft, and they're going to play him at the 3.
Right.
But most draft people were like, he's a 3-and-D guard. So that kind of confused, because if you do sign Keon to an extension, why do we still have Devin Carter? Why are we sticking with Nick Clifford? That's why they need, the bigger question about his future is they need to pick a direction.
Absolutely. Yes, that's where it all sits. You're exactly right, Kyle.
Yes.
Pick a direction and go that way.
Exactly. Because if you sign Keon, great, awesome.
Yeah, that's wonderful.
That just means, what are we doing with these rookies?
100%. Yeah, and the other guys that are around too. I mean, I know like Zach and DeMar are heading towards the end of their contracts, but what are those guys doing for the like? Are you just going to let them leave for nothing? Like there's so many different things that the Kings have to figure out. The Malik Monk situation. I didn't mention Malik Monk, who's absolutely in the thick of the rotation for shooting guard. We don't know. I think ultimately what this shakedown is going to be, because again, the name Kyle just mentioned there that I haven't mentioned, Devin Carter. What are we going to do with Devin Carter? He played 36 games last year, missed the first 34 of last year. You have to get that kid some runway or trade it. Like you can't just keep him and never play him from the time that you draft him. You have to at least get a look from him. And I just don't. We talked about the point guards yesterday. It's Schroeder, probably Malik Monk, unless it's going to be Devin Carter getting those backup minutes,
or Westbrook.
Would surprise me.
Or
Westbrook,
he's still in the mix.
We'll see. And we do have a little bit of an update on where Russell Westbrook could end up and why it probably won't be in Houston after Fred VanVleet goes down, but. It's just a mess. I mean, this rotation at the 2 guard is an absolute mess. Again, Zach LaVine is playing 30 minutes a game. That's happening. Malik Monk is going to play, we'll call it 24-plus minutes a game between shooting guard and point guard. DeMar DeRozan is going to play 30. DeMar DeRozan averaged 36 minutes a game last year. He's probably going to play, we'll call it 34-plus, split between the 3 and the 2, hopefully not the 4. I haven't mentioned Keon. Like, Keon's got to play with how he's played so far. 15 minutes a game at least. Where do those minutes come from? Nick Clifford isn't a name I have said yet. Where are his minutes going?
It's a lot. I mean, we say it, but then when you list it,
there's only 48 minutes in a game, and you can only stagger these guys so much, and you can only
this isn't
play
an NFL
certain
team.
group. It's not an NFL. You can't create formations that have 3 tight ends now. Like,
and none of them can play power forward.
None of them can play power forward. Like, it's a mess.
That's frustrating.
It is an absolute mess. I'm assuming Scott Perry is working diligently to try and figure it out. And you know what I also didn't mention, Kyle, is that today we had news that Terence Davis, who was cut last week, and we were trying to figure out, is that as a runway for Russell Westbrook? This morning, Keith Smith tweets out, Terence Davis has re-signed with the Kings on a non-guaranteed training camp contract. Davis likely an Exhibit 10 deal, which should see him eventually join the Stockton Kings of G League. So Terence Davis back on the roster. I guess it's not technically a roster spot, is it? I mean, if it's an Exhibit 10, that means that, it's pretty much a glorified 10-day contract. So, it seems to me as if, like is in the report there, he'll be in the G League, which is great. Terence Davis is going to light up the G League. But another name that you could potentially see if the Kings somehow end up thin at the shooting guard position, there's Terence Davis, who is, again, I will say at the very least, it's not just depth for the sake of having depth. They're quality bodies.
It is quality.
Very quality bodies.
But you wish there were just some more in other places.
It'd be nice if they could be spread out just Just a skosh. Just like the tiny, teeniest bit. If we can maybe sprinkle a little point guard or a little small forward action in there. I don't know. I'm just a guy with a microphone. What do I know? Coming up next, we'll probably continue a little bit of this Kings conundrum situation. And Giannis says that he is preparing to be traded by the Milwaukee Bucks. What is he talking about? We'll talk about it next right here. Alan Stiles Show, Sactown Sports.
Sacramento weather is brought to you